Hey, it's Sarah with Fearless Fundraising Accelerator. This is the series on Case for Support, and part one of Case for Support is really sets the foundation for you in the next lesson to fill out your case for support. So I'm getting you ready to take that leap. First, I want to set some context about the case for support because one of the features of the case for support template is that you will find that you have to make some tough choices. We encourage you to not put everything into your case for support. This may seem obvious, but the case for support is not about you. And so, in order to really create understanding and trust, it's really important to select the most, prioritize and select the most compelling, important content and create a lot of white space around it, and also select just a few images. This creates access points. So a lot of times you will find that many case for supports or one pagers just have so much information that people just don't know where to start. And in this particular case for support, there's a lot of white space, there are some images, so it creates access because people can be sparked by something and ask a question around it. Finally, because this case for support is selective about what it presents, it creates involvement. People can feel like they can take in the information and then there's enough room for them to respond, meaning that there's white space, that they're not having to wait so long for you to go through the whole thing. It doesn't take forever because there's not too many points. And that creates involvement. And we all know that involvement creates investment because when you're asking somebody, what do you think? I could use your advice here. What are your thoughts? This helps them become a part of. They feel a part of. They feel like that you matter. They feel like you think that they matter and you care about their opinion. B, they feel like, hey, this is something I want to be involved in. And because you've put it in a way that I can understand and I'm beginning to actually talk about it, I can imagine myself talking about it with other people. It's not such a huge leap for me to become an ambassador because I'm already engaged, right? I'm already becoming an expert. You've treated me as an expert. I feel like an expert. Therefore, I can become an ambassador and speak on behalf of the organization. Or, if I'm an investor or a donor, I can feel like, hey, I can open the door to my friend and say, hey, you should meet this person. They're really interesting, and you should get to know them, because they feel like if I'm treated this way with respect, then you're going to treat my friends this way, and you're somebody who I can feel good about introducing you to. So this really creates a lot of understanding and trust. So that's why the Cases for Support is designed the way it is. It's not about you, it's about the relationship that you're building. And so you will, I promise, have some challenges in selecting what to put into it. And I want to also emphasize that because it's not about you, it's an iterative process. You can always change your case for support and in response to what you get back. So just because you're selecting this today doesn't mean selecting one thing and having to lead out something doesn't mean you wouldn't be able to bring it in later, or that you wouldn't be able to put it into a follow-up email to kind of say, hey, you had a really good point that this was left out. Here are my thoughts about this, that sort of thing. The second piece around the leadership, the case for support is leadership tool, is that it really starts with why, and that why is very important. Oftentimes, research shows that, and what I notice in marketing and also with social change leaders, we tend to lead with what and how. We want to show people what our 3-point initiative is to change the world and all its details and how it's going to work and the reason why it's going to work and how we're different, blah, blah, blah. But it leaves out a crucial piece because this is really, that sorts of detailed information really engages our rational brain into, the supporting the reason to do this. And that's a very important element of the case for support. But what often gets left behind is the why. The why this is so important. Why is it important to our world? Why is it important to people that this initiative happen? Why is why also speaks to the values that are behind the initiatives that you're doing. The why speaks to your heart and it speaks to your gut. And in order for people to follow you, in order for people to buy in, they need that part of their being to be engaged. If it's not, if it's all just stats, figures, maybe a couple stories thrown in, and this really isn't emphasized, you won't be as successful. So that's a crucial element of this case for support. The final piece that I wanted to speak to is that the case for support is a leadership tool. It is not only about a one-on-one conversation with a particular person, a particular ambassador, or a particular a board member or donor. It can actually be a leadership tool to create change and to create investment in your organization. Let me show you how that works. So you have here a rainbow. So the theme for this particular slide is that, don't try to read everything here yet, I'll walk you through it, is that, we're starting out at the next lesson. You will be filling out your interactive case for support. You'll be having your draft with the why, the what, and the how. And now you've created this thing and it's all yours, which is great. And it's going to be beautiful. But the problem is that you can't do it alone, right? You need support. You need your leaders to be bought in. And so you are about to take this case for support on a journey to somewhere over the rainbow. And I say this because we can often feel like at this point, we don't know where the journey is going to lead us. Somewhere over the rainbow, we are going to have people who are excited for this case for support. Somewhere over the rainbow, we're going to have a board that is so excited and enthused about this case for support and where we're going that they are going to get involved and get behind it. Somewhere over the rainbow, you're going to have ambassadors and prospects. But first, it's just that you have to go through this process, right? And so you're going to be following this rainbow here. And you're going to start here with a board, and you're going to present your case for support to your board. And I recommend that you have one-on-one conversations and you get their input and get their reaction and build that trust, build that sense of the feeling that they're important and you care about what they think. Taking this time, I know it's a lot of time, but if you take this time, you will have a foundation that will carry you. You will have a foundation that will help you when the campaign gets hard, the campaign gets sticky, the campaign to get, the resources that you want. So we all have bumps in the road, and this, by getting to know what your board thinks and what they really care about individually, you are going to be able to go back to them later when you really need something, or and you're going to know how to motivate them. You will likely want to take this to this draft case for support to select stakeholders. So maybe there's certain volunteers, certain people really close to the organization. You may even decide, I want to talk to other thought leaders and influencers about elements of my case for support, because if you launch this a big campaign for something and you haven't talked to them, that they'll feel left out, and maybe they will be unhappy. Finally, you'll be talking with major funders, and this can be a really important part of discovery about capacity, which we've talked about. If you remember, we talked about prospects. You're looking for three things: capacity, caring, which means they care about this issue, and connection. So what you're doing is, when you present the case for support, you may craft some questions around their capacity and how they might be able to help you, how much money they might be able to help with this initiative. You should really think carefully about asking that question, though, and read the signals of people to see if this is the right time. I can help you plan for when and how to do that and whether to do that. It really depends on the situation. But so you'll learn maybe a little bit about their capacity, more about their capacity. You can build that connection, right? You're building that connection because you are getting their opinion, you're getting their advice. And then finally, you are getting to know, what is their level of caring? Do they care about this initiative that you're giving them information about? Do they care? What is their body language saying? Are they excited? What does their voice over the phone say? And then you'd circle back to your board and you'd show them the results and maybe what you had, what you learned and how you recommend changing the case for support. It's very important that when you embark on this process, you are very clear with each party about how their advice will be used. Some people may actually have the illusion that you will just take their advice and implement all of it, and maybe be hurt if they realize that you're not. So just be very transparent as you're speaking with people about how the information will be used, who will be making the final decisions about what's included, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so at the end, you will be on the other side of the rainbow, ready to get your, I wish you could see the color better. This is yellow here. You'll get your golden pot of gold. And so somewhere over the rainbow, you will be have a finalized vision. Here, let me move this closer. You will have a finalized vision. You will have buy-in. You will have excited and motivated ambassadors. You will have prospects that are cultivated, right? After you go to these major funders, you're going to have a sense about who is a prospect, and they'll already know about what you're doing and why. And you'll have you'll have new doors opened, and you'll neutralize anybody who might be upset if you didn't go to them for their advice. Okay, so that's my piece on an introduction for case for support. Part 2 will have more information about beginning to fill it out and how to do that. Talk to you soon.